The old woman's hand shot from the hospital bed and locked around the paramedic's wrist. "Noah," she whispered, the name
Ma'am, can you tell
buried
me
in
where the
his
pain
sealed
is?
adoption file.
Just relax, we're here to help.
Before he could ask how she knew it, a care home administrator ordered security to remove him.
I am the administrator
Why was
on
a
duty.
routine fall
You are
being
instructed
treated
to
like a
stand
crime
down
scene?
and vacate the premises
Why
immediately.
had someone altered the ambulance record? And why did the woman
This
carry his
information is
baby
protected.
photograph?
We will
By
manage your
sunrise,
care.
his badge would be suspended, her room would be empty, and a 36-year lie would begin to crack. Stay to the end, because the truth he uncovered would reunite a family and force a system to answer for everyone it had silenced. Noah. The name barely carried over the hospital monitor, yet Ethan felt it strike below his ribs. Evelyn Holloway tightened her fingers around his wrist. Her skin was cool and papery, but the grip was precise. 4 pale marks rose beneath her fingertips. A curtain shifted in the vent's draft. "Ma'am," Ethan said, "how do you know that name?" Her eyes sharpened. "Your mother kept the blue blanket," she whispered. "She said they would come back for you." The door opened. Celia Ward entered with security guard Tom Beckett behind her. Her cream coat was buttoned high, despite the heat. She held Evelyn's chart against her chest. "That is enough." Ethan did not pull away. "She's answering appropriately. She has advanced cognitive decline." Evelyn's mouth moved. "No." Celia crossed the room. "Mr. Cole, step away from the patient." What was her baseline tonight? That is no longer your concern. It was when your staff called us. Tom shifted near the doorway, gaze lowered. Evelyn tugged Ethan closer. Something crackled beneath the blanket. A photograph appeared between her knuckles. Faded border, a young woman's sleeve, the curve of a baby's cheek. "Don't let her." Celia folded the blanket over Evelyn's hand. "Mrs. Holloway is distressed." "She wasn't until you came in." The monitor pulsed. In the corridor, a cartwheel squealed. Celia smiled without warmth. "You transported a resident after a minor fall. Your role is complete." Ethan looked at Evelyn. "Do you want me to leave?" Her thumb pressed into his pulse. "Noah," she said again, louder. Tom met Ethan's eyes. There was apology in his face, but he stepped forward. "Sir, please." "I'm not resisting." Celia peeled Evelyn's fingers away one by one. The last caught under Ethan's watchband. "Where is the photograph?" "What photograph?" "The one in her hand." Evelyn turned toward the wall. Celia tucked the blanket beneath her forearm. "There is no photograph." Tom's radio hissed. A voice asked whether assistance was required. He pressed the button, then waited. "Situation contained." The words seemed to cool the room. Ethan stepped back, memorizing room 417, 11:38 p.m., and yellowed paper beneath the blanket seam. At the elevator, Celia blocked his view. "You will not contact her again." "Is that her request?" "It is the facilities." "That wasn't my question." The doors opened with a chime. Cold air moved through the gap. Tom waited beside the panel. Celia lowered her voice. "People in your position should not confuse personal grief with professional judgment." Ethan's fingers failed twice to close around his medical bag strap. "What do you know about my grief?" "Your mother died 6 weeks ago." He looked at her. Celia's expression stayed still, but her grip tightened on the chart. The doors began to close. Through the narrowing space, Ethan saw Evelyn force herself upright, despite the alarm cable pulling at her gown. Her hand emerged from beneath the blanket. The photograph was gone. A silver chain hung from her fist. At its end swung a blue enamel charm, identical to the one beneath Ethan's uniform. He reached for the doors. They met before his fingers touched them. At 6:42 p.m., Ethan shut the ambulance bay door with his shoulder, shutting out the cold rain. Inside smelled of disinfectant, wet wool, and burnt coffee. Maya Reeves sat on the bench, restocking kits. Her dark hair was braided tight. She clicked every seal twice. "You're early," she said. 3 minutes. "That counts?" Ethan removed his damp jacket. He took a cloudy photograph from his pocket. Sarah Cole stood in a backyard, one hand raised against the sun. Maya stopped. "Still carrying that?" "For now." His phone vibrated. Lily's name lit the screen. "Dad, we start at 8, his daughter said. Children's voices crowded behind her. "Parents sit in the first 3 rows. "I'll be there." "You said that last time." "I know." A pause. "Only don't be late again, because I have the first solo and—" The radio cracked above him. "Unit 12. Respond to Silver Pines Residential Care. Female, 68. Ground level fall. Conscious and breathing." Lily's message vanished beneath the dispatcher's voice. Ethan pressed the phone to his ear. "I heard you. First solo. You promise?" He looked at the clock. 6:45. "I promise I'll try." "That's not the same." The line went dead. Maya shut the supply drawer. "Want me to take lead so we move faster?" "No, we do it right." They climbed into the cab. Rain rattled on the windshield. The heater blew lukewarm air. Owen Price repeated the address, then added, "Facility requested routine transport only." Maya glanced over. "Routine transport after a fall?" Ethan keyed the radio. "Any blood thinners, loss of consciousness, or delay in discovery?" Static answered first. Then Owen said, "Caller declined further questions. Says patient is confused at baseline." Maya fastened her belt. "That place again? You've been there?" "Twice. Both times the paperwork knew more than the residents." Streetlights smeared gold across the wet road. At a red light, Ethan touched the shape beneath his collar. A silver chain with a blue enamel charm, the only object listed in his sealed adoption inventory. Maya noticed. "Your mom's?" "No." "Came with me." At 7:03, Silver Pines appeared behind iron fencing, every window glowing pale yellow. Near the service entrance, a woman in navy scrubs smoked under an awning, rubbing her wrist. The main doors opened before Ethan reached them. Celia Ward stepped into the vestibule, dry and composed in a cream coat. "You took long enough." 14 minutes from dispatch," Maya said. Celia ignored her. Mrs. Holloway slipped beside her bed. "She becomes dramatic around strangers, so please don't encourage her." Ethan set the stretcher brake. "How long was she on the floor?" "Minutes." "Who found her?" "A staff member." "Which one?" Celia's smile thinned. "Is this an interrogation?" A young nurse appeared at the end of the corridor, then stopped when she saw Celia. Her badge read, "Jenna Polk." She opened her mouth. Celia turned. "Room 12 needs you." Jenna lowered her eyes and vanished around the corner. Maya leaned close as they rolled forward. She was going to answer. Ethan watched the empty corridor. Somewhere beyond the locked fire doors, a woman struck a wall 3 times. Celia kept walking. "Old pipes," she said. The elevator opened at 7:11 p.m. "Room 214, Celia said. The corridor was overheated, though cold air slid along the baseboards. Fluorescent lights hummed. Bleach mixed with canned peaches. A man in gray scrubs stepped from a linen room carrying towels. He was 34, broad-shouldered, with a pale burn mark on one arm. "Marcus," Celia said, "tell them Mrs. Holloway slipped 10 minutes before we called." Marcus tightened his grip. "I didn't see her fall." "When did you find her?" He glanced at Ethan. "Around 6. The clock above him showed 7:12. Celia opened the door. He's mistaken. Room 214 held one bed, one chair, and a window sealed edge to edge with translucent tape. Rain ticked against the glass. Beneath the bed, a red call cord had been unplugged and wound into a careful loop. Evelyn sat upright under a thin blanket, still dressed. She watched Celia before looking at Ethan. "I'm Ethan. This is Maya. Tell me what happened." "She fell," Celia answered. "I asked her." Evelyn's fingers gathered the blanket. "I pressed the button." "She often believes she has," Celia said. Maya crouched and lifted the disconnected cord. "This button?" The room went still. Jenna appeared behind Marcus with a blood pressure cuff. Her blonde hair was escaping its clip. "Maintenance disconnected it," Celia said. "For replacement?" Maya asked. "Yes." "Where's the replacement?" Celia turned to Jenna. "Take her vitals." Jenna wrapped the cuff around Evelyn's arm. Her fingers shook against the rubber tube. Ethan checked Evelyn's pulse. "Did you hit your head?" "No." "What time did you fall?" "Before supper." "She confuses time," Celia said. Evelyn looked toward the taped window. The rain had just begun. Rain had reached the ambulance bay at 5:18. Ethan examined her pupils and asked her to raise each leg. She obeyed, then pressed a hand to her ribs. "My side hurts." "Anywhere else?" "Here." Her fingers moved to her chest, then caught the silver chain beneath Ethan's collar. The blue enamel charm slipped into view. Evelyn stared at it. 4 notes rose from her throat, soft and descending. The room fell away. Sarah had hummed it when Storms woke him. She never knew the words. She called it the song from before. "Where did you learn that?" Evelyn's eyes glistened. "You wore blue." Celia stepped between them. "This assessment is over." "No," Ethan said. Jenna looked at the cord in Maya's hand. "Mrs. Ward, I reported it disconnected yesterday." Celia turned slowly. "Finish your round." Jenna did not move. Ethan opened his bag. "We're transporting Mrs. Holloway." "That is unnecessary." "She has rib pain after an unwitnessed fall, delayed care, and no working call system." "I manage this facility." "You don't make her medical choices." Celia's jaw tightened. Marcus lowered the towels. Evelyn caught Ethan's sleeve. "Don't leave me here." The rain seemed louder. No one spoke. Jenna held the cuff against her chest. Maya rolled the stretcher beside the bed and locked its wheels. Ethan lowered his voice. "You're coming with us." He helped Evelyn stand. The blanket slipped, and something struck the rail with a dry click. A brown envelope had been taped beneath the mattress. Celia reached for it first. The envelope struck the rail, and Celia's hand closed over it before Ethan could bend. "That belongs to the facility." Evelyn reached from the bed. "Mine." Maya stepped between Celia and the stretcher. "Patient property stays with the patient. She hides things, then accuses staff of stealing them." "Give it back," Ethan said. Celia placed the envelope on Evelyn's blanket. "Document that she insisted." Maya did. Jenna watched the pen cross the form. At 7:19, they wheeled Evelyn through the corridor. The air smelled of floor wax. 2 residents withdrew when Celia followed. Inside the ambulance, rain hammered the roof. Maya connected the monitor while Ethan wrapped a warmed blanket around Evelyn. "Pain from 0 to 10? 4 when I breathe. 8 when she enters." Ethan touched the envelope. "May I hold this?" Evelyn nodded. "Not her." He lifted the unsealed flap. "May I look?" "Quickly." Inside lay a photograph, soft at the corners. A young woman sat on a porch holding an infant wrapped in blue. Across the border, faded ink read, "Noah, November 1989. Ethan's breath stopped. The heater clicked off. Cold gathered around his wet cuffs. "Ethan," Maya said. He turned the photograph over. No address. Only half a sentence. "If they tell you he died." The rear door opened. Celia stood in the rain. "I need the medication list." Maya pointed to the folder beside the monitor. "You gave it to us." "Then I need the envelope." Evelyn closed both hands around it. "It contains papers that upset her," Celia said. "They're hers," Ethan replied. "She lacks capacity." "Who decided that?" "Our physician." "Name?" Celia did not answer. Evelyn pushed the photograph toward Ethan. "Keep it." Celia reached across the stretcher. Her fingers caught the envelope, and Evelyn pulled back. A brittle crack cut through the ambulance. Her thumbnail broke against the paper, leaving a red crescent on the edge. Maya caught Celia's wrist. "Step out." "You're interfering with patient care," Maya said. "Again." Celia released the envelope, but the photograph remained in her other hand. Ethan saw only the baby's blue blanket before she folded it into her palm. "Return it." "It is facility property." "You took it from her." "You're confused about what you witnessed." Evelyn's face went still. She stared at the charm hanging outside Ethan's collar. "The other half?" she whispered. Celia stepped backward into the rain. Ethan moved toward the door, but Evelyn caught his sleeve. "Don't leave me." He stayed. Maya slammed the doors. Through the wet windows, Celia stood beneath the security light, the photograph hidden inside her coat. "Drive," Ethan said. The ambulance rolled away, tires hissing over black pavement. He pressed gauze to Evelyn's broken nail. "Who is Noah?" Her eyes remained on the blue charm. "My son." Ethan's phone vibrated in his pocket. Lily's concert had started. He did not reach for it. Behind them, silver pines vanished around the bend. In Celia's coat was the first object Ethan had ever seen that might explain the name buried in his sealed file. At 9:06 p.m., the electronic report reopened under Ethan's name. Rain dried stiff on Ethan's sleeves. The office smelled of toner and old coffee. A desk fan stirred unsigned forms. Maya leaned over his shoulder. "That's not what we entered." Dispatch showed 6:58 instead of 6:47. The disconnected cord note was gone. Evelyn's room read, "Clear of hazards," and the delay had vanished. Ethan opened the revision history. Access denied. The door opened. Grant Hale entered in a camel coat, silver hair immaculate, smile already settled. "Still here?" he said. "Someone changed the report," Maya replied. Grant set a paper cup beside the keyboard, handle turned toward Ethan. "Then correct it." "I did. This is the altered version." "This is the approved version." "Approved by whom?" "Management." Ethan pointed to the missing line. Her call button was unplugged. "Unverified." Maya held it. "I photographed it," Maya said. Grant's smile weakened. "On a personal phone?" "Yes. That creates a privacy concern." "Not as much as changing a medical record." The fan rattled. Ethan's coffee trembled in its cup. Grant closed the door. "Silver Pines brings in 1/3 of our residential revenue. They report a minor fall, and you write like an investigator. She waited nearly 2 hours. You don't know that." "Marcus said he found her at 6. "Marcus moves laundry." "He was there." Grant pulled a chair closer. "Document what you confirmed." "I confirmed the cord was disconnected." "You confirmed a cord was on the floor." Ethan looked at him. "Those are different sentences." Grant tapped the signature field. "Sign this and go make your daughter's concert." 3 missed calls from Lily glowed on Ethan's phone. Grant noticed. "You have enough going on. Bereavement? Family pressure? Adoption questions. Ethan turned. From whom? People talk when an employee becomes fixated on a patient. The call ended 2 hours ago. The complaint arrived 20 minutes ago. From Celia Ward? Maya asked. Grant ignored her. Sign. Ethan placed both palms on the desk. Restore the timestamps. No. Restore my note. No. Then remove my name. Grant lowered his voice. This is not the hill you want to die on. It isn't a hill. It's a record. Only the fan moved. Maya raised her phone and took one silent picture. The screen lit her face. Grant heard the shutter. Delete it. No. He held out his hand. Maya stepped back. Grant's eyes hardened. Neither of you will contact Mrs. Holloway or Silver Pines outside assigned duties. Ethan rose. Where is she? At the hospital, presumably. You don't know? I know this company will not risk a contract because a patient recognized your necklace. The words landed too precisely. Ethan touched the blue charm beneath his collar. I never told you about the necklace. Grant looked toward the dark window. Maya's breathing stopped for half a beat. The printer woke and released one page. Grant tore it free. Sign, he said, covering the sheet with his palm. Ethan saw one line before it vanished. Formal complaint. Unauthorized personal contact. The complaint was timestamped 7:14 p.m. 5 minutes before Ethan entered Evelyn's room, 9:18 p.m., Grant slid the suspension form across the desk. Effective immediately. Ethan did not touch it. For refusing to sign a false report? Maya asked. For impaired judgment, Grant said. Bereavement, personal fixation, failure to maintain boundaries. Ethan's phone vibrated against the desk. Lily calling. Grant glanced at it. Take it. Ethan declined the call. Rachel Doss entered carrying a plastic pouch. The 45-year-old supervisor wore reading glasses on a cord. I need your badge and station keys. Rachel, Maya said, the complaint predates the contact. Rachel looked toward Grant. Legal reviewed it. In 4 minutes? Maya asked. Grant opened the office door. This is not a debate. Ethan unhooked his badge. The clip caught twice. Did you know Mrs. Holloway's call button was disconnected? He asked Rachel. Her hand paused above the pouch. Turn in the badge, Ethan. He placed it on the metal table, photograph side up. His phone began playing the school live stream. A piano sounded thin through the speaker. Then Lily's voice entered, clear and small. Ethan reached to mute it. Grant said, Maybe this helps you remember your priorities. Maya shut the office door, rattling the blinds. You don't get to use his child. Grant's face stayed composed. I'm protecting 50 jobs. By erasing one patient? By containing an employee who is no longer objective. Ethan folded the suspension form. Who told you about the necklace? Grant lifted his coffee. Turn in the keys. Who? The cup stopped halfway to his mouth. Rachel looked between them. Mrs. Ward described your behavior, Grant said, at 7:14, before I saw Evelyn. Enough. Applause came through the phone. Lily's solo had ended. Ethan muted it. His thumb remained on the dark screen. Rachel sealed the pouch. You cannot contact the patient, the facility, or staff involved. Any violation may end your employment. What if she asks for me? She won't, Grant said. Maya stepped beside Ethan. I'll drive you. No, finish the shift. I'm not leaving you alone. You saved the original report? Yes. Then protect it. Ethan pulled on his damp coat. The lining clung cold to his wrists. At the door, Rachel said, Your daughter left a message with dispatch. He turned. She said there's an empty seat in the first row with your name taped to it. Rachel lowered her eyes. Grant checked his watch. Ethan walked through the operations floor. Co-workers moved aside without speaking. One medic stared at the vending machine. Another removed his cap, then put it back on. Outside, sleet clicked against the ambulance roof like dry rice. His phone held a voicemail. "Dad," Lily said, the hall quiet behind her. "Mom says you were probably helping someone. I saved the program. I'm not mad." Ethan sat on the concrete barrier and tried to unfasten his coat. His fingers slipped once, twice, then stopped. The bay door opened. Maya stood there, breathing hard. "Ethan," she held out her phone. On the screen was the untouched image of the original report. Beneath it waited a message from an unknown number. "Mrs. Holloway has been moved. Do not ask where." At 8:07. The next morning, Ethan stood outside room 417 with a visitor sticker curling from his coat. The corridor smelled of oatmeal and antiseptic. Hannah Vale, the silver-haired registrar, checked the screen again. Evelyn Holloway was discharged at 5:26 a.m. To where? The field is blank. Who signed? Hannah clicked twice. No physician listed. Maya leaned over the counter. That isn't a discharge. It is in the system. Ethan entered the room. Cold air moved from the vent above. The bed had been stripped. A shallow hollow remained in the pillow. The name panel was clean. He touched the sheet. Cool, not cold. "Housekeeping came 20 minutes ago," Hannah said. "Did anyone speak to her?" "A transport aide signed her out." The signature line held a single slash. Maya photographed it. A radio crackled near the elevators. Tom Beckett stepped out in the same navy jacket as the night before. He slowed. "You're not supposed to be here." "Neither is an unsigned transfer." Tom glanced at the nurse's station. "Keep your voice down." "Where did they take her?" "I don't know." "You watch them leave." His jaw tightened. Maya folded her arms. "You filed a report?" "No." "Why?" Tom stared at the empty bed. 2 kids. A mortgage. Ethan kept his hands at his sides. "Did she go willingly?" Tom rubbed a scratch on his radio. "She kept asking for you." "What did she say?" Tom produced a folded scrap from a medication wrapper. "I found this under the wheelchair." Maya opened it. The writing slanted hard to the right. Blue House, River Road. Ask Ruth. Below it were 3 numbers, 214. "That was her room," Maya said. Tom shook his head. "She said the numbers meant something else." Ethan folded the note. "Who moved her?" "A private van, no logo. Celia rode in front." "Was Grant there?" Tom looked up. "How do you know that name?" "Was he?" "He came through the service entrance at 5. Tom looked at Hannah. "You didn't hear that." "I heard enough," she said. Footsteps approached. Celia appeared at the far end of the corridor with a leather folder. Her gaze went to Ethan, then to his pocket. "You are violating a written restriction." "Where is Evelyn?" "She was transferred for appropriate care." "Name the facility." "That information is private." "She asked for me." "She is not competent to make that request." Hannah spoke. "There is no capacity order in her chart." Celia turned. "Return to your desk." Hannah's cheeks colored, but she stayed. Maya raised her phone. "We have the blank discharge, the missing physician, and a witness who saw you leave with her." Tom lowered his head. Celia softened her voice. "Think carefully about what you believe you saw." The words were meant for him alone. Tom pressed his radio silent and met Ethan's eyes. "She tried to give you something else." "What?" "A photograph and a name." Celia stepped forward. Tom moved between them. "She said the blue house was still standing," he continued, and Ruth Ellis would remember the fire. Celia's face changed for 1 second. Then the elevator opened behind her, and Grant Hale walked out, holding Ethan's personnel file. At 9:34 a.m., Ethan set Sarah Cole's box on the kitchen floor. The house was cold. Rain tapped the window, and the air held the lavender scent of Sarah's detergent. Maya stood by the sink. "You should report Grant." "With what? A blank transfer and a frightened guard?" "With the altered record. The message. Tom. Tom has 2 kids. So do you." Sarah's handwriting crossed the lid. "For Ethan. When you're ready." "You don't have to open it today," Maya said. "Yes, I do." The tape tore dryly. Inside were birthday cards, a wool cap, and his adoption program. Beneath them lay a clipping. Riverbend Clinic Fire claims 3. Infant presumed dead. November 18th, 1989. Noah Holloway, believed lost after records burned. Under the clipping was a hospital bracelet number wider than his thumb. Noah H. His fingers would not close around it. The ring fit across only 2 fingertips. The front door opened. Lily entered with her concert folder. "Mom said you were home." She saw the box. "Grandma's?" "Yes." "You missed my solo." "I know." "You didn't call." "I should have." Lily aligned the folder with the table edge. "Were you helping the old lady?" "I was trying." "Did it work?" "Not yet." She kept her coat on. "You say that when you don't know." Maya reached for the kettle. "No," Lily said. "I'm talking to him." Ethan unfolded a letter from the bottom of the box. "My dear Ethan, there is something I was too frightened to tell you while I could still answer your questions." "What is it?" Lily asked. He read aloud. "The agency said your records were sealed because your birth parents wanted privacy. But the dates changed between copies. One form called you Noah." Maya sat down. "A woman came when you were 3. She stood across the street in the rain and asked whether you still wore the blue charm. Your father sent her away." Lily touched the chain beneath Ethan's shirt. "This one?" "Yes." "Who was she?" "The letter doesn't say." He turned the page. Sarah's pen had left grooves. "I found the fire article years later. I should have investigated. I was afraid loving you would not be enough if someone came with a better claim." The refrigerator motor stopped. The kitchen went still. Lily's voice dropped. "Are you going to leave if that woman is your real mom?" "No. You left the concert. That was one night. You keep leaving for people who need you." Water dripped from her shoes, darkening the floorboards. "Nobody replaces you," Ethan said. "Grandma got replaced." Maya turned toward the window. Ethan picked up the final page. Sarah's last sentence ended halfway across it. "If you ever find Evelyn Holloway, tell her I am—" Nothing followed. Lily stared at the blank space. Then she put her concert program inside the box beside the bracelet. "So you don't forget this one, too." She went upstairs and shut her door without slamming it. Ethan remained on the floor. The bracelet pressed against 2 fingers, too small to circle even one. Maya crouched beside him. "There's something on the clasp." He tilted it toward the gray window light. Beneath a crack in the plastic, 3 numbers had been scratched by hand. 214. At 10:12 a.m., Maya locked the dispatch office door and lowered the blinds. Owen Price sat before the audio console, headset around his neck. He was 39, narrow-faced, and tapped one thumbnail against the desk whenever the system lagged. "You were never here," he said. "Can you recover the call?" Ethan asked. "I can recover what they forgot to erase." Maya set her phone beside the keyboard. The original report image glowed on its screen. Owen opened the archive. Incoming calls are mirrored for review. Managers can edit the visible log, not the raw audio. A hiss filled the room. Then Jenna Polk's voice came through, breathless. Silver Pines, Resident Fall, room 214. Owen stopped playback. Hear the timestamp, 6:47:13 p.m. Maya leaned closer. The report says 6:58. He restarted it. How long has she been down? The dispatcher asked. Jenna inhaled. Since around 5. A second voice cut across the line. No, say she just fell. Celia. Rain ticked against the narrow window. Jenna tried again. She was found a few minutes ago. 3 dull knocks sounded in the background. Knock, knock, knock. Ethan gripped the chair back. What was that? The dispatcher asked. Pipes, Celia answered. Owen paused the file. Those weren't pipes. No, Ethan said. That was her wall. Maya looked at him. Same rhythm Tom heard. Owen opened the access ledger. Rows of timestamps appeared. The call time changed at 8:51. The narrative at 8:54. Same administrator token. Grant? Maya asked. His department. I can't identify the user without elevated access. Can you preserve it? I already started. The side door opened. A woman in a charcoal raincoat entered, shaking water from one sleeve. Amira Shaw was 42, an investigator with the State Health Department, with dark hair cut in a blunt bob. She carried a paper notebook. Owen contacted me, she said. Which one of you is suspended? Ethan raised a hand. Sit where I can see both hands. Maya frowned. He's not under arrest. No, but frightened people tell cleaner lies when they think I trust them. Ethan sat. Amira played the audio twice, then asked each question once. Who saw the cord? Who touched the envelope? Who knew about the necklace? Who moved Evelyn? When Ethan mentioned Grant at the hospital, her pen stopped. Grant Hale entered a patient floor with your personnel file? Yes. And Mrs. Ward removed a private patient before dawn? Yes. Do you know where? No. Amira closed the notebook. Then this is no longer only a records complaint. Owen copied the files to an encrypted drive. The progress bar crawled forward. At 78%, the lights flickered. Owen swore. Someone just tried to terminate my session. Can they delete the mirror? Maya asked. Not while it's exporting. The bar reached 91. The speakers crackled, although no file was playing. A notice appeared. Admin remote access active. Owen yanked the network cable from the wall. The screen froze at 97%. No one moved. Then the drive light blinked green. Owen ejected it and placed it in Amira's palm. 3 new knocks sounded from the hallway door. The 3 knocks came again. Amira pocketed the encrypted drive. Owen opened the door. Rachel Doss stood in the hallway, rain shining on her shoulders. Grant knows you accessed the archive. How? Owen asked. He ordered an audit after the remote session failed. She looked at Ethan. Leave before security arrives. Amira stepped forward. They can explain it to the state. Rachel saw her badge. Then you have 5 minutes. At 11:03 a.m., Ethan drove east along River Road with Maya beside him and Evelyn's note on her knee. Blue House. River Road. Ask Ruth. Bare trees bent over the pavement. The river flashed between trunks like dull steel. House numbers skipped from 208 to 216. There, Maya said. A boarded cottage stood behind high weeds. Its siding had once been blue. Gray strips now curled from the wood. The rusted mailbox read, Holloway. An elderly woman opened the neighboring door before they reached the gate. She was 74, wrapped in a red cardigan. You're too late to buy it. We're not buyers, Ethan said. Are you Ruth Ellis? Her gaze dropped to the charm at his collar. Come closer. Ruth touched the blue enamel, then pulled back. Evelyn had two made, one for her, one for Noah. Maya showed her the note. She told us to find you. Where is she? We don't know. Ruth unlocked the Holloway gate with a key from her apron. Inside, the house smelled of wet plaster and cedar. In the kitchen, height marks climbed a doorframe beneath peeling paint. Noah, 18 months. Ethan set 2 fingers beside the faded line. That was before the clinic fire, Ruth said. Evelyn came home alone. They said the baby died, but no one showed her a body. Why did she stop searching? Maya asked. She didn't. People stopped listening. Ruth opened a drawer and removed a photograph of a younger Evelyn outside the clinic, holding half of a torn picture. A woman in a cream coat came 3 weeks ago, Ruth said. She wanted the deed and asked about copies. Celia Ward. A silver-haired man waited in the car. Grant. A floorboard creaked behind them. Maya crossed to the rear window. A car just pulled away. Ruth shut the drawer. Then they know you found the house. At the municipal archive, fluorescent light flattened everything to gray. Louis Grant, 63, wore cotton gloves. He opened the property file, then frowned. This transfer should not be here. The document gave Celia control of Evelyn's house and accounts. It was dated 9 days earlier. Witness? Amira asked over speakerphone. Louis read the line. Grant Hale. Capacity certification? Ethan asked. Attached. The physician named on it had retired 2 years ago. Louis turned the final page. There's also a sale pending. To whom? He slid the file across the counter. The buyer was a shell company registered to the same address as Ethan's ambulance service. Maya's voice dropped. This was never about one report. Ethan studied Evelyn's signature. The ink was darker than the rest, pressed hard enough to cut the paper. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. For several seconds there was only breathing. Then Evelyn whispered, Noah, they found the blue house. Evelyn, where are you? The line crackled. A cart rattled near her. Room 214, she whispered, but not my room. A man called her name. The call ended. At 12:26 p.m., Amira entered Brookhaven Recovery Center with Ethan and Maya. The locked corridor was too warm, every door fitted with wired glass. Dr. Neil Patterson met them at the desk. He was 55, compact, with silver spectacles. Mrs. Holloway was admitted for acute confusion. By whom? Amira asked. Silver Pines. Signed by? He checked his tablet. Celia Ward. Not a physician. A nurse approached. The patient in 214 keeps asking for Noah. Ethan's chest tightened. Patterson led them down the hall. No prompting, no supplying names or dates. Room 214 held a bolted chair and a narrow bed. Evelyn sat at a table, folding a napkin into smaller squares. Amira set down her recorder. State your name. Evelyn Rose Holloway. Date of birth? March 4th, 1957. Do you know where you are? A place they chose because they thought locked doors would make me less certain. Patterson shifted. Did you ask to come here? Amira said. No. Who is this man? Evelyn lifted her eyes to Ethan. My son was named Noah. That wasn't the question, Patterson said. Then ask a better one. Have you met him before? Amira asked. Last night, but I knew the charm. Ethan drew out the blue enamel piece. Evelyn touched her empty collarbone. There were 2. What else would identify your son? A pale mark under his left shoulder, like a comma lying down. Ethan's hand rose to the spot. That could be coincidence, Patterson said. Ethan unbuttoned his shirt and pulled the fabric aside. The crescent mark showed beneath his shoulder. Patterson cleaned lenses already clear. Evelyn pressed both palms to the table. "I watched them carry you from the nursery," she said. "Blue blanket. One sock missing." Ethan's mouth had gone dry. "Do you have evidence besides memory?" Amira asked. Evelyn reached beneath the napkin and opened her fist. Half a photograph lay in her palm. It showed a porch, a blue blanket, and half a young woman's face. Ethan took Sarah's envelope from his coat. Behind the fire clipping was a matching fragment. His hand shook as he set it down. Evelyn moved hers forward. The edges met with a soft scrape. A white line remained between their fingers, but the picture was whole. Evelyn holding an infant. The sentence on the back continued across both pieces. "If they tell you he died, ask to see him." Evelyn touched Ethan's knuckle, not his hand. "Sarah kept her half," she said. "You knew her?" "Once. Across a street in the rain. She was holding you. I saw you were safe, and I feared one step closer would make someone run again. She wrote that you came." Evelyn closed her eyes. Amira slid a consent form across the table. "A DNA test can establish the relationship, but only if you both agree." Evelyn signed first. Ethan took the pen. Through the wall came 3 faint taps from a heating pipe. He looked at her. This time, she heard them too. Before Ethan could sign, the door opened, and Celia Ward stepped inside with 2 attorneys. Celia stopped in the doorway. "This visit is unauthorized." Amira remained seated. "It is now part of a state investigation." One attorney opened a folder. The other noticed the photograph. Dr. Patterson moved beside Evelyn. "Mrs. Holloway is oriented, consistent, and refusing transfer. You were retained to evaluate confusion. I was retained to evaluate capacity." Evelyn pushed the consent form toward Ethan. "Sign." He did. By 3:40 p.m., the county hearing room was full. Reporters crowded the back row. Ethan sat beside Evelyn, who held the repaired photograph in a clear sleeve. Grant Hale entered with counsel and took the opposite table. Commission Chair Vivian Clark, 60, called the session to order. Grant's attorney spoke first. Mr. Cole was grieving and vulnerable. He formed an attachment to a cognitively impaired patient and mistook routine corrections for conspiracy. Vivian faced Ethan. "Did you know Mrs. Holloway before the call?" "No." "Did you alter the report?" "No." Grant leaned toward his microphone. He refused supervision. Maya rose. "Because supervision demanded a false signature." She placed 2 printouts down. Owen followed with the access ledger. The timestamps were changed through an operations administrator account. "Shared account," Grant said. "Your token opened it at 8:51, Owen replied. Tom Beckett approached next, gripping Evelyn's note. "I watched Mrs. Ward remove her before dawn. Mrs. Holloway said she had not agreed." Celia's attorney stood. Vivian raised one finger. "Sit down." Jenna came forward with her sleeves over her knuckles. "I called at 6:47. Mrs. Ward told me to say the fall had just happened." "Why obey?" Vivian asked. Jenna looked at Evelyn. "I wanted my job more than I wanted to be brave." No one in the gallery shifted. Amira played the recording. Celia's voice filled the room. "No, say she just fell." Then came 3 knocks. Evelyn's fingers tightened around the sleeve. Daniel Rhodes, a patient rights attorney with a bent tie, introduced the property transfer, the retired physician's signature, and the pending sale to a company linked to Ethan's ambulance service. Grant finally looked across the aisle. "You think a family story qualifies you to accuse everyone here?" Ethan answered quietly. The records do that. A clerk entered with a sealed envelope. The room slowed. Rain tapped once against the glass, then stopped. Vivian opened the laboratory report. Ethan heard Evelyn breathing beside him. He turned the photograph face down so the cameras could not capture it. The test establishes a maternal relationship at a probability exceeding 99.99%. Camera shutters broke the stillness. Evelyn closed her eyes. Ethan lifted the blanket that had slipped from her knees and tucked one corner beneath her hand. Are you all right? She looked at him. I am now. Grant's attorney closed his folder. Celia reached for hers, but Amira placed a formal investigation notice over it. Vivian struck the gavel once. This matter is referred for immediate review. As the room emptied, Evelyn turned the photograph over. Beneath the joined sentence, a second line in Sarah's faded ink crossed the torn edge. Ask who signed the transfer. At 4:18 p.m., Amira placed Sarah's repaired photograph beneath the document camera. Ask who signed the transfer. Louis Grant, the archivist, opened a records box. The 1989 clinic file shows one infant removed before the fire report was finalized. He slid a page forward. One signature belonged to an administrator. The second remained visible beneath correction tape. Hale. Grant's chair creaked. That was my father. I was 12. No one said you signed it, Amira replied. But you knew what the name meant, Maya said. Grant looked at Ethan. My father arranged placements. He believed the child would be safer away from a woman everyone called unstable. Evelyn covered the photograph. They called me unstable after they lost my son. Daniel Rhodes opened the property file. And you recognized the charm before Mr. Cole described it. Celia spoke without turning. This has nothing to do with Silver Pines. Jenna Polk stood near the back wall. Her badge was gone, leaving a pale rectangle on her uniform. I changed her medication log, she said. Every face turned. Jenna, Celia warned, you told me to record confusion after evening doses. Sometimes the doses were never given. Dr. Patterson rose. That could make a competent resident appear inconsistent. I know, Vivian Clark asked. Why say this now? Jenna placed her badge before Evelyn. It clicked against the table. Because she asked for help, and I lowered the television so no one would hear her knocking. Evelyn shielded the photograph. I'm sorry, Jenna said. Tell them who else. Jenna swallowed. 7 residents, maybe 9. Amira's team searched Silver Pines. They found duplicate capacity forms, unsigned transfers, and bank statements in a locked cabinet. 2 residents had been moved within 48 hours of asking for outside help. Grant's access logs connected his office to every altered ambulance report involving the facility. He stopped answering questions. Celia did not. You think institutions run on perfect choices? She said, as investigators sealed her files. They run because someone makes the unpleasant ones. Ethan stood beside Evelyn. No, they run because everyone else is told not to look. Grant was placed on administrative leave. Celia's license was suspended pending criminal review. Jenna agreed to testify and surrendered her certification. He guided Evelyn through a side exit. In the car, she held Sarah's letter on her lap. She was afraid I would take you, Evelyn said. She raised me. I know. She kept the truth too long. So did I. Streetlights moved across the windshield. Neither softened the words. At Ethan's house, Lily opened the door. She looked at Evelyn, then at the joined photograph. Is she staying? For dinner. Lily moved aside and set a 4th plate on the table. Daniel called before they sat down. The state found 8 more altered transfers, he said. The commission wants a settlement by morning. What kind? Money, reinstatement, confidentiality. Evelyn turned Sarah's letter face down. No confidentiality, Ethan said. Then what do you want? Ethan looked at the empty chair between Sarah's photograph and Evelyn's coat. Rules they can't edit after someone speaks. At 8:15 the next morning, Daniel Rhodes placed the settlement folder on Ethan's kitchen table. Reinstatement, back pay, and enough money to move, he said. In exchange, you stop speaking publicly. Ethan turned the folder. No. Daniel glanced over. It expires at noon. Then it expires. What do you want? Daniel asked. Ethan opened a legal pad. Every report change must leave the original visible. No deleted notes, no silent overwrites. That affects every private service in the state. Yes. Anything else? An outside line residents can call alone. No transfer after a complaint without independent review. Evelyn looked up. Add one more. Daniel took notes. Ask the patient first. By 10:40, the chamber smelled of wet coats and copier heat. Vivian Clark sat with Amira and Dr. Patterson. Grant's chair was empty. Celia's nameplate was gone. Senator Melanie Brooks, 47, entered with 3 marked drafts. She underlined every sentence twice. I can support emergency rules, she said. Not a slogan. It isn't one, Ethan replied. Reform Coordinator Peter Hall adjusted square glasses. What happens in practice? Ethan placed Evelyn's scratched blue pen on the table. Speak for yourself was nearly gone. A responder asks for the patient's version before reading the facility summary. Their words go into the record. And if they cannot answer? Record who decided that, why, and when. Dr. Patterson nodded. Age, fear, medication, and inconvenience are not incapacity. A lawyer tapped the settlement folder. The company will resist public audit trails. Maya spoke behind him. Then record the resistance, too. Owen added. The logs already exist. Someone chose who could see them. Vivian read from the draft. All changes preserve original text, author, time, and reason. Keep that, Ethan said. Senator Brooks studied him. You could demand damages. I am. She waited. These are the damages. For 4 hours, each sentence was challenged. Facilities objected to cost. Operators warned of delays. Daniel crossed out vague verbs. Amira replaced when practical with before any non-emergency transfer. Each time the language drifted from the patient, Evelyn tapped the worn pen once. At 3:26, Vivian slid the final agreement forward. Across the top, Peter had typed, the name rule. Ethan frowned. Why that? Evelyn answered. Because they called me confused until I said who I was. He signed with her pen. The pen scratched. Maya exhaled. Owen leaned back. Jenna sat alone in the last row, gripping her empty lanyard. Senator Brooks signed next. Effective in 30 days. Legislative review in spring. And Silver Pines? Ethan asked. Independent monitor. Advocates on site. Every transfer reviewed. Evelyn reached for the pen. Her hand trembled once, then steadied as she wrote her name beneath his. Outside, rainwater shone on the courthouse steps. Daniel handed Ethan the unsigned settlement folder. Keep it? Ethan tore the confidentiality page in half and dropped it into a recycling bin. His phone buzzed. Unit 12 cleared for reinstatement. A second message arrived from an unknown number. Room 214 is asking whether you remember the rest of the song. 3 months later, at 6:45 a.m., Ethan clipped a new badge to his jacket and checked the ambulance doors twice. Maya leaned from the driver's seat. First call back. Nervous? No. You check the oxygen seal 4 times. 3. The radio crackled. A care home resident had fallen and wanted to give her own account before staff spoke for her. Maya smiled. The rule works. At the facility, an independent monitor sat beside the front desk. Reports now kept every revision. A poster near the elevators read, "Ask the patient first." Jenna met them in the corridor. Her new badge hung from a plain gray cord. "She's alert," Jenna said. "She says the pain began before breakfast." "I haven't entered anyone else's version." Ethan nodded. "Thank you." Silver Pines had reopened under outside supervision. Celia Ward's license had been revoked over the property transfers. Grant Hale had been dismissed. An audit tied him to 14 altered records. He had admitted falsifying reports and was awaiting sentencing. Tom now trained staff to preserve patient statements. Owen managed the protected dispatch archive. Rachel had joined the oversight office. None of them called themselves brave. That evening, Ethan parked outside Evelyn's apartment. Lily opened the door before he knocked. "You're late." 7 minutes. "That still counts." Inside, Evelyn stood over a pot of soup with Sarah's letter beside her. The repaired photograph rested on the windowsill, its tear line bright in the sun. "I keep thinking I should finish her sentence," Evelyn said. "Don't." "You don't want to know what she meant?" "I know she kept me safe. I know she was afraid." Evelyn folded the letter along its old crease. "So was I." Lily set 3 bowls on the table, then added a 4th place beside Sarah's framed photograph. No one moved it. The state's first public report arrived that week. Complaints had risen. Forced transfers had fallen sharply. Original notes could no longer be erased. Ethan read the section titled Patient's Own Account. At the bottom was one sentence from an unnamed resident. "They finally wrote down what I said. On Friday, the school auditorium smelled of dust, warm cables, and wet coats. Ethan and Evelyn sat in the front row. Between them remained one empty chair. Evelyn touched its wooden arm. For Sarah? For the years before and the years after." Lily stepped beneath the stage lights. The pianist played 4 descending notes. Evelyn's hand closed around Ethan's. It was the melody from the ambulance, from storms in Sarah's kitchen, from the locked room where no one believed Evelyn. Lily sang the missing final line. Ethan did not know the words, but Evelyn did. Her lips moved silently, then joined the song. When the applause rose, Ethan stayed seated 1 breath longer. The repaired photograph lay in Evelyn's lap. Sarah's chair remained empty. Lily bowed beneath the light. "Was it worth it?" Evelyn asked. He remembered the cold badge on the metal table and the 3 knocks behind a closed door. "It had to be done," he said. Outside, the rain had stopped. Lily walked between them, holding one hand from each generation. The blue charm rested quietly against Ethan's heart. Have you ever seen someone ignored or treated as unreliable because a system had already decided whose voice mattered? Share your experience in the comments, especially if one careful question changed what happened next. Share this story with someone who believes dignity should never depend on age, status, or authority. Justice is often built through accurate records, steady witnesses, and ordinary people who refuse to erase the truth. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, and meaningful systemic change. And carry one simple rule with you. Before speaking for someone, ask what they have to say.